Listen, one of the biggest struggles I hear is I want to build my brand, but I don't have the money to do it right. Well, today we're fixing that. My guest, Dr. Severine Bryan, also known as Dr. Sev, is an accredited financial counselor who helps entrepreneurs stop stressing about money and start making smart financial moves. She's a higher education coach in accounting, has lent her expertise to top Fortune 500 companies, and she's my Nasdaq Milestone Circle sister. Now, branding and money go hand in hand. If your finances are a mess, it's hard to make strategic moves in your business, right? But we're about to find out how entrepreneurs can actually build brands that thrive without going broke. We're going to be talking about how to budget for your brand, invest in growth, and break free from the I can't afford it mindset. We're also going to break down a simple way you can start funding your brand today with just $5. It's a game changer, so stick around for that. This episode is packed with financial gems you don't want to miss, so let's get cooking. Welcome to Talk Like a Brand, the podcast where we're serving up fresh insights and strategies to make your brand look as good as it tastes. I'm Peachy Williams, the brand voice builder and your resident brand chef, here to help you cook up unforgettable brands with a side of fun. Whether you're starting from scratch or looking to add new ingredients to the mix, you're in the right place. Grab your headphones, get comfy, and let's get in the kitchen because it's time to serve up some business smarts that'll leave your brand craving for more. Let's get cooking. Hi, Dr. Sev. How are you? Welcome.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
I'm just so happy that you actually accepted my invitation to come on Talk Like a Brand. And I just want to say you are doing an amazing job and happy Women's History Month.
Oh, thank you so much. And happy Women's History Month to you too.
I feel like it's just so important for people to find out about finances. Finances are one of the mainstays of becoming an entrepreneur, and even life in general, though, we don't even have to talk about entrepreneurship, but just in life, it's hard kind of balancing the budget or trying to get by when you maybe are in debt or you haven't had much education in finances, right? So I want to know, what is an accredited financial counselor and what actually inspired you to become one?
When I started this financial journey, it was not with the intention to become an accredited financial counselor. In fact, I had no idea what that was. Going back to my earlier days, when I was maybe about 15, 16 years old, my dad added me to his bank account. I am not the oldest child, but he said, "You are so responsible and you have a good head on your shoulder. I am going to add you to my bank account." I didn't know what that meant. Growing up, even past that, there were times when people would think I had money because of the way I carried myself. And I determined that I really have an affinity for money, not numbers per se, even though I ended up becoming an accountant. It was just a thing about making money work for me. And I had been posting content on social media. I was the stewardship director at my church because I was tagged for that position. And posting things on social media, somebody reached out to me and said, "Hey, you need to join this community." I did not know that there was a personal finance community. I just thought I love to talk about money. I love to read about money and I love to post about money. I love to teach about money. And I was doing that. And somebody tagged me. I joined this community. And this lady, Sandra Davis, I'll never forget, she said they have a scholarship for the accredited financial counselor certification. I did some research. I applied for the scholarship, got the scholarship, and the rest is history. What an accredited financial counselor does is basic personal finance. They help you to manage your money, manage student loans, credit if you have issues with credit. If you're trying to buy a house, an accredited financial counselor can help you put your finances together so that you can determine how much you can purchase. How much can you afford for that house? If you're getting a job and you have maybe 2 job offers, accredited financial counselor can help you tally the non-financial aspects of that job to give you really a bottom line of how much are you making, because 50,000 might be more than 60,000 depending on benefits and other things. So those are the basic things an accredited financial counselor does. Really helps you with your basic money management and help you to look at how you got there and how you can move forward. And we also look at your values, look at what drives you, and then your money mindset. How do you think about money? Because financial literacy is more than numbers. It is, how do you think about money? Because I can help you with a budget, but if you don't change your mindset, 2 years later, you're going to come back to me to ask me to help you with budget again.
You said it's all about mindset, and that's interesting because I say that all the time with branding as well. Building a brand, you need to have the right mindset, because if you don't have the right mindset, you can easily have an expensive hobby, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Yes.
and a lot of entrepreneurs, I noticed, they have this mindset that they need thousands of dollars upfront to build a strong brand. And we both know that's not true, right?
That's
So,
correct.
as someone who has bootstrapped every company, I can attest to, you can start like with zero. You can
Yeah.
go from 0 to 100 really quickly. So, Dr. Sev, what are some of the biggest money myths that you see entrepreneurs believing when it kind of comes to funding their brand?
One is you need a lot of money to start investing. Not necessarily. You can start where you are. Look around at what options you have. If you are trying to build a brand and you don't have any money, look at podcasts that maybe talk about the subject that you are an expert in. Get on those podcasts, get exposure that way. Share your thought leadership on social media. I have gotten speaking engagements, I have gotten features in different publications because of my thought leadership on social media. That cost me nothing. So just because you don't have the money doesn't mean you can't still build your brand. Look for ways that you can get exposure because they talk about the know, like, trust factor. And that is something, if they like you, they know you, they trust you, then they will follow and pay you. There are different ways that you just think outside the box of ways that you can fund your dream, fund your brand. There are also grants that you can apply for. Sometimes what you can do is find organizations that are offering free classes, because sometimes at the end of that class, they will give you money to further that whatever it is that you're doing. Let's say, for example, you are taking a class on marketing and you do well, you attend all of the classes, you do all the homework. At the end of that, sometimes it's a surprise, sometimes it's planned. They may say, okay, we're going to fund you $500 to help you with your business, for you to do marketing. So there are lots of opportunities out there. There are organizations, community organizations that have people who will lend their expertise to help those of us who are growing our brands. There's SCORE. You have a lot of retired executives who will give you, their time. They will help you with their expertise. There are organizations such as the Urban League. Yes, and there's also the Chamber of Commerce. You can attend sessions. They're always doing sessions. In fact, right now, they're going to be doing a session on how to purchase through the Atlanta public system, because I live in the Atlanta area. So there are classes and there are sessions that you can go to for free or very little. Even the community colleges, they have classes that they offer. They have different courses, just so many things that you can do that does not require money. So it just takes you to change your mindset and look at things differently. And then also look around to see what are things that even my competitors are doing. What are things that somebody else is doing, even if they're not in the same line of business? What are some things that they're doing to fund their business? It's okay to look at your competitors. It's okay to look at what other people are doing and see how you can duplicate that.
Okay. And, that's important. You said something, the know, like, and trust. And know, like, and trust is everything. When people come to know you and they like you, they will trust you and they will spend their money, right? So
Yes.
when we start talking about misconceptions that people have, what have you found to be some common financial misconceptions that people encounter, whether they're building a brand or whether in their personal finances? Because one of the things that I say all the time and I teach in Prism is that you know, you can do a SWOT analysis on your business once a quarter. But if you're not doing a personal SWOT analysis as well, that goes back to the mindset, you will not know the things that will hurt your business, especially if
Yes.
you're a solopreneur or you are a very small business. I don't think people realize how much their business can be impacted if they don't recognize weaknesses that they have personally that could really affect them. And one of the weaknesses could really be how you view money and how you deal with money. So, what are some common financial misconceptions you've actually encountered?
One of them is credit cards are bad. Credit cards have no emotions. Money has no emotions. So it's about how you use the credit card. Using other people's money, there's nothing wrong with that. So when we use credit cards responsibly, we can build credit. Credit cards offer rewards. In fact, I'm flying to West Palm Beach and I'm only paying $22 for me and my daughter because I use points. So credit cards can offer all kinds of perks and provide valuable customer protection, but it's a matter of how you use it. If you cannot use it responsibly, then definitely you don't want to touch it. But if you have the discipline and you know you can pay off the card at the end of each month, then I say go for it. Borrow people's money, get the perks, get the cash back, get the miles, get all the things that they offer, pay it so you don't pay any interest and keep it moving. Another thing that people say all the time, you should pay off your debt as fast as possible. Not necessarily. If you have debt, let's say maybe 2%, and you have credit cards or loans that are maybe 8, 9, 10%, why not pay those off? Because you're paying a lot more in interest than you are gaining. So let's say your debt is 2% and you can get 8% on your money, whether it's a stock market, whether it's a savings account, whatever it is, but your return on your money is say 8%. You can go ahead and let that 2% debt stay because it's not really hurting you. When it's the flip side, when your debt is maybe 8, 9, 10%, and you're only making 2% on your money, then you may want to be a little bit more aggressive in paying down your debt because really it's smarter to focus on a balance of investment, paying down your debt, and saving. Because if you focus so much on paying down your debt and you don't have anything in savings, you don't have anything in an emergency fund, you're going to end up back right where you were before with debt. Because if something were to happen and you have nothing in savings and you're paying on your debt aggressively, something happens, your machine broke, your car broke down, you have to go get more debt to pay that off. So again, it's really a matter of finding a balance in between the interest, the investing, and the saving. Which one makes sense for you based on your situation, and take advantage of that. The last misconception that people have is that they need a lot of money to invest. You don't need a lot of money to invest. You can start right where you are. There are investment vehicles where you can start with $5, with $10. Just find those investment vehicle and start. And then as you get more cash flow, as you get more liquid in your cash, then you can start adding more. I remember when I started saving, I was saving $25 every paycheck, and I got paid every 2 weeks. I was paying $25, setting that aside out of my paycheck automatically. And several months went by. I looked at my account and I had over $1,000. So, starting small with investing, you don't have to have a lot of money. Just start where you are and build. And as you get more liquid, you add to the amount that you're investing.
Hey, brand builders, want to take your brand to the next level? Join my exclusive mailing list at bit.ly/collarmail and get the latest tips, tricks, and resources to create, brand, and grow your way to success. It's quick, it's free, and packed with everything you need to make your brand shine. Don't wait, hit that link and join the brand fam today. That's really smart, and thank you for that, because I think sometimes people feel, oh, I don't have any money to put toward savings. And like you said, $25. I mean, even if it's $5, that is something, because it compounds over time and you don't touch it and you don't really stare at it. When you look up, it's going to be something to add to those expenses that you probably never thought would occur. You talked about emergency funds, and I want to talk a little bit about budgeting. And so, everybody, no matter how much money you have or how little money you have, you need some sort of financial foundation, right? So,
Yes.
what are some basics every entrepreneur or person, just period, what should we know?
One of the first things is separate your personal and your business expenses, finances overall. Separate those because a lot of people, they're doing business, they commingle funds. They don't even know what's what's the business funds, what is the personal fund. Everything is all commingled. And if you even decide, I am going to take money from my personal account and put it in my business account, make a note of that, because that is your funding, your capital. And that's perfectly okay. Then you decide when you're going to pay yourself back. But make sure that there is a separation for tax purposes, for auditing purposes. You want to make sure there's a separation of business and personal finances. Just like we have personal and emergency funds for our personal lives and for ourselves, we need to have that for our business, because we are going to be paying somebody for maybe to fix our website. We're going to be paying someone, maybe a VA, to help reach out to customers, or, whatever. There are things we're going to need money for. And it helps if we can think ahead. What are some things I'm going to need maybe 6 months from now? And how can I start funding an account to take care of that? And that goes back to understanding cash flow. For example, somebody who has a product-based business, they may only make those products for Christmas, and that's where the money comes in, but they need to secure the material maybe in April or May. So consider that you need to have the funds in April or May to get your material. And then you're going to be getting money in December and January when you sell those items. You can't think in December and January, I'm flush with cash, forgetting that you need to have that money set aside for when you need to get your material. So cash flow is also very important, understanding when your money is coming in and when your money is going to be going out, and planning for that. Because in business, we're going to have lean months and we're going to have ups and downs.
Yeah.
So when we get a flush of money, we don't really have a flush of money.
Right?
we have to really set aside money for those eventualities that we know are coming. And that's where a lot of people get into trouble, because I've seen it happen where they will get a lot of money from a sale or from somewhere. And then all of a sudden they go crazy shopping or doing other things, forgetting that I have a long-term business plan, or I have a long-term plan for my personal life. I need to make sure I have some money set aside to take care of that thing that I need to do 6 months from now. So if you're listening, please make sure that when you get an influx of money, it's tax season, and we're going to get back some money probably, set some money aside. Because in September, if you have kids, August, September, you need to buy school clothes, you need to buy books, you need to buy all these other things. So just really think about how you can even out your spending and your inflows and outflows. Even though you're getting the ebbs and flows, the highs and lows, how can you even it out so that you have what you need over a long period of time?
That is so smart. And it's so easy to commingle funds. Okay, so for instance, if people have 9 to 5s and they have 9 to 5s plus they have a business, it's easy for people to fall into that because their 9 to 5 is actually funding their
Mhm.
business.
Yeah.
And it's so easy for them to commingle those funds because they look at it as one pot and not
Yeah.
two, right? So
Yeah.
that's very important. So thank you. Thank you for talking about that. Let's talk about investing in your brand a little bit. A lot of times people hear investing and they think, again, I need a whole bunch of money to invest in my brand. What are some smart ways that people can actually invest in their brand without breaking the bank?
There are so many VAs, virtual assistants around that don't cost a lot of money. You don't have to go out and hire a CFO, hire an accountant, hire, whatever full time in your business. Look at what are some things that I can do, or who are some people I can bring into my business that won't cost me a lot. I just need your service maybe a month. What are some things that you can do to fund that? Another thing you can look at is, can I barter? If somebody is an accountant and I do websites, can you do my books for 2 or 3 months and then I set up your website? What are some creative ways that I can outsource, or I can get what I need done without spending a lot of money? Social media platforms are free as of now. We never know what's going to happen,
Right?
right? But they are free. Take advantage of that. Where are your people sitting? For what I want to do, I know most of my people are on LinkedIn, the people I want to reach for what I want to do. So, where are your people? Don't be on Instagram because it's the thing to do if your people are not on Instagram. Don't go to Facebook if your people are not there. Are your people on Pinterest? There are ways that we can research where our people are based on your, who you've identified as your target market, what are their age groups, how often are they on social media. You can find all of that information in different places. So once you've identified those people, how can I leverage those platforms to take advantage so I can build going back to what we talked about, building my thought leadership? There are podcasts, there are blogs. Can you be a guest blog writer? You can ask someone, hey, I have this great idea, which I think would be a great fit for your blog. I would love to be a guest blogger on your blog. Who do you know? Who, maybe at church, you see someone and they're the person who is doing the videography for the church. You can reach out to them and say, hey, I'm starting my business. I would love for you to give me some service. As soon as I make some money, I will try to, help you out, or I'll try to pay you, or I want to take you to dinner. There are just so many ways. I think one of the things for us too is we are so caught up in the I have to do it myself.
Hmm.
And there are so many people out there who are just waiting for somebody to ask, hey, I want to do this. Can you help me? There are people who are waiting, but we won't ask because maybe pride, or we just feel like I need to do all of this myself. But we are all standing on the shoulders of other people who've gone before us. So
Right.
why not take advantage of that? And the last thing I want to say about smart ways to grow your money or to budget without breaking the bank is reinvest your profits strategically. What is it that you need right now? Maybe you don't need a pretty website. You don't need a big website. Maybe you need a one pager to start with. So think about what your funds are and what do I need now, and it will still serve me, grow my brand until I can pay more for something else, because you can always add pages to your website. So just,
Right.
again, just think strategically about what it is that you need right now and how can you get it without spending a lot of money. And please, please, please ask for help.
Absolutely. And I wholeheartedly agree with that. And a lot of times people, they don't know how to ask for help,
Mhm.
or I've seen a lot of times people will ask somebody for, how much are your services instead of saying, okay, this is this, but I don't have that in my budget. How can we work this out? How can we work together? I think we live in such a microwave generation that people just want it all now. And they
Yes.
also live in that pride where it's like, I'm too proud to say I don't have it. I'm too proud to say, can you help me? I'm hoping, especially in this climate, I'm hoping that more people step out of that mindset and get back to the we're all in this together and work together, especially on the financial front, because it's hard being an entrepreneur and it can get
It
very
is.
expensive if you don't have certain expertise. It can be very, very expensive. I guess for me, I'm blessed. So I have a certain expertise and it has afforded me opportunities to do certain things, whereas it would have been thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars if I didn't know how to do it. And also, like you said, there are classes out there, there are finance classes, things
Yes.
of that nature. There are classes and other things as well, like marketing and all those things. So, that's when you really put your money where your mouth is. Are you
Yeah.
willing to take those type of investments and invest in yourself? Because if you look at yourself as an investment, that's money.
Hmm.
For me, investing in myself, that's money to me. So you're actually making money on top of money. You just don't realize it until you change your mindset. So thank you so much for that. Thank you.
Yeah. You said the key thing about investing in ourselves. If we see it as an expense, then we're going to run away from it. But if we
Right.
see it as an investment in ourselves, then that's where the mindset comes in, right? Because if we're seeing it as an investment, we are thinking it's going to pay off because nobody invests thinking I'm not going to get a return.
Right. Yep. Okay, so we promised a money tip that anyone can start using right now, right? So, Dr. Sev, tell us about that $5 and why small savings again make such a huge difference for someone who's building a brand.
It goes back to starting not with the money, but with what is it that I want to accomplish. And then you think, how much is it going to cost? Once you've determined that maybe it's going to cost more than I have, then you start thinking, how can I still have this service, but not have to pay any money? And go back to that conversation about looking outside the box. What are some things that I can do to build my brand that's inexpensive or free? The library. I'm actually going to be doing 2 workshops at the library, and it's not going to be paying me anything. Even though it's not costing me anything, it's free, but it's still expensive in the sense that I am getting feedback from people in the community. I am getting my name out there. They're going to be publishing these newsletters to say, hey, we have this workshop coming. This person is coming in to do this workshop. Then you see my name. And then when I do the second workshop, you see my name again. You may get curious and start looking. So again, take advantage of the community resources. Take advantage of other people in your industry. Join groups. I'm in a WhatsApp group with some financial creators. There are lots of different groups that you can join, and you can get so many tips from joining those groups. You'll be surprised the richness that can be found in those groups. And again, there are people in there who don't mind sharing what they've learned and how they can, how you can get to where they are based on what they've learned. I have not gone into any of these groups where I've asked a question and someone has not given a response. And it's always a response that adds value. And then if I have follow up, somebody else may respond, or once they see one person respond, somebody else will say, hey, have you thought about this? There's just so many ways. So I would say don't get caught up on the money so much as starting with what is it that I need to accomplish? What are my resources? And that means resources, not just money, but what are the people, who are the people I know? What are the platforms that I can use to get this message out? Just think about all of that and let money be the last thing you think about. And I know it sounds counterintuitive to say, oh, well, I have to spend money to make money. Yes, but don't let that be a deterrent. Think about all the different ways that you can get to where you can go, where you want to go to, and the money will come. I promise you that the money will come. There's a story of a lady, and I don't want to say her name because I don't remember, and I don't want to say her name, but she is in the beauty business. She kept taking money from her 401k. Now, I'm not going to advocate for that, but there are times when that's what you need to do. If you believe in your dream strong enough and you're doing the work, it's something you can do. But anyway, she took money from her 401k and she kept going to different conferences, different places with her ideas. And eventually, she's now a multi-millionaire. Eventually, she got the recognition. She was placed on the platform. I want to say it's either Revlon or Mary Kay. I can't remember which one. It would be great to look that up. But eventually, she got recognized and she is now, again, a multimillionaire because she did the work. She took money from her 401k and she did the work. In the beginning, she did not use money. She used to reach out to all of her contacts. But when she started building the product, that's when she touched her 401k. And she said, I was down to $1,000 in my 401k, but I believed in my vision so much that I was willing to do what I needed to make this become a reality. For those of you who are listening and you're thinking, how can I get to where I need to go to? Really examine whether or not you're standing in your own way. Is it fear of success? Because we talk a lot about fear of failure, but fear of success can cause us to not do the things that we need to do because we're afraid of success. We don't know how to handle success. And because of that, we don't do what we need to do. So sit with somebody. You don't even have to pay for a therapist. Talk to some friends who are wise, some older women, older men, and say, here's where I am. Here's what I'm thinking. They will tell you about yourself. And then you can start seeing, what do I need to do next? Because I see that there are some barriers here. And how can I get over this barrier? Because so many of us have so much inside of us. We have so much inside of us, so many giftings, but we allow society, we allow the voice of our parents, we allow the voice of teachers, all these people to tell us about ourselves instead of what we know inside about ourselves. So if that's you, please talk to somebody. Don't let pride stand in the way, because none of us, we don't like people to think we don't know something. And especially if we seem like we're doing great, we don't want anybody to know we don't know. Throw that aside. If you really, really want the success, then you got to step away from that. Somebody needs to know, I need help. And if they want to talk about you, they're going to talk about you, whether you ask for help or not. So why not ask for help?
Are you ready to ignite your brand and watch it shine? Join Prism, the exclusive membership that gives you the tools to create, brand, and grow like a pro. Whether you're just starting or leveling up, Prism is packed with everything you need to take your brand to the very next level. Join now at bit.ly/Prism now. Your brand's next big move starts here. Oh my gosh, that is amazing. Listen, the fear of success, that is a real thing. Like
It is.
I don't think people really buy into that, but it's a real thing. And you can easily step into that, especially when you start seeing traction in your brand. When you start seeing traction, that kind of creeps up and it's like, oh my goodness, oh my goodness, oh my goodness. People are starting to buy, people are starting to see things, people want my stuff. And instead of falling into proof of concept, they fall into fear of success. So that is something else. So right now we're about to put you on the hot seat, Dr. Seth.
Okay. Okay.
I have three questions. So the first one is, what's one financial decision you wish you could redo? And that can be in your business or personal.
When I was maybe 27 or so, I won some money through, well, it wasn't quite a lawsuit. We were in a car crash and the insurance company paid out some money to me. I wish that I knew enough about investing, about the compound effect of money, about leveraging your money or even leveraging other people's money to build wealth. I wish I knew enough about that because it was, I want to say it was maybe six figures that I got. And yes, I did some good because I paid for school. I bought a car, cash, used car. But if I had known about these benefits of even a dollar, because that's all it takes sometimes, is starting with that dollar because that dollar can change your mindset when you see that growing. If I had known about that, I think I would have taken some of that money and invested it. And wow, who knows what it would have been? That was like 30 something years ago. That money would have grown quite a bit. So that's something that I look back and I wish I knew then what I know now.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think a lot of us have been in that position. You when you're young and you get lump sums of money, it's like, woo, you get the shiny object syndrome, as opposed to saying, well, let me do something, let me kind of save a little bit, Okay, so our second
But even before you go to the next one, we don't know what we don't know, right?
right.
And so even though I wish I'd known then, I'm not sorry because I learned some lessons
Mhm.
through that. For somebody who's listening, I don't want you to beat yourself up because you don't know what you don't know. And now that you know, you're going to do better.
Now that you know, you're gonna do better. Do better. Do better. So our second question is, what was a favorite splurge that was totally worth it?
See, I don't do a lot of splurges.
I
So
know you've done some though. I know
I'm
you've done
trying
some.
to think. Maybe just a nice meal that I went out
Mhm.
for. Because that's the only thing that books and food are the two things that I really splurge on.
Yeah, I totally splurge on books. I am definitely a bookworm. And so
Yeah,
our
so
third question, go ahead.
yes, I think of some meals that I've gone out to, and I'm thinking, wow, I've spent over $100+.
But it was good.
It was worth it.
It was good. So our third question is, if your financial strategy was a dish, because talk like a brand, cooking up brands, what would that dish be?
I think maybe lasagna.
Layer.
Because layers, your financial strategy is not going to be or shouldn't be just one size fits all. So it's going to be layers. And as you add more layers, and when it's done and you bite into that, you're tasting all of those flavors combined. And I think for me, that's what investing would look like for my financial strategy. It would be just those layers of things because I started with one thing and then I built on that and I continue to build on that. And as I learned, I built on that. And then now I was able to walk away from my corporate job in December of 2022. And it
Congratulations.
was a six-figure job. And I'm like, what are you doing? But because I was able to build solid enough foundation where I could say, okay, I'm not where I want to be, but I am at a good place to where I can build my business. So I can walk away from this. And that's because of those layers that I built.
That's amazing. I love that. I love that so much. So, everybody, if you take nothing else from this episode, I want you to remember this: money is a tool, not a roadblock. When you start making small, smart money moves, whether it's setting aside $5 a day, doing intentional budgeting, or actually shifting your mindset, you are going to put yourself in a position to grow your brand without the stress. So, Dr. Sev, where can people connect with you if they want to get their money right and build financial confidence?
I think the best place is just to start with my website. because all the other social media, podcasts, all of that is linked on my website. So my website is SEV talksmoney.com. That's sevtalksmoney.com. And you'll find my Dr. Sev Talks Money podcast, my YouTube, my blog. You can sign up for my newsletter. You can follow me on LinkedIn from there. All of the different social media platforms are all connected on my website.
Awesome. And I will repeat that. It's sevtalksmoney.com. This has been so insightful and delightful and delicious. So I want to thank you again, Dr. Self, for taking the time to come on Talk Like a Brand and talk money. And you guys, you heard it, her podcast, where she's talking money. I recommend it. So please take your time and go listen to her episodes and subscribe as well. And this has been a great, great show. I hope that you have gotten some nuggets from this. And until next time, keep mixing, keep creating, keep branding, and keep growing. Thank you again.